Hey everyone, and welcome to AMC Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm Chris Lee Kennedy, and this is the show where we bring you the day's biggest movie news, and of course we give you insight into what it all means. Finally back in the captain's chair, we have AMC Editor-in-Chief, Mr. John Campea.
Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the show, coming to you live from right here in Hollywood at the Stream.TV studios. We are so glad to be here, and yeah, I think this is like my first official day back in like 3 weeks. It's good to be back.
All right. We also have AMC's Miri Jetikin.
Hey everybody, John, you're a hero in a half shell, kind of.
I was wondering who was going to make a Turtles pun.
There's a lot of Turtles puns today. We also have our production manager, Mr. Dennis Sen.
Welcome back, John. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I went to the Hollywood Bowl for the first time yesterday.
Oh,
That was your
Nice.
first time going
First
there?
time.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, I got to see Glenn Hansard, Iron and Wine, and my favorites, The Head and the Heart. So-
I'm going back there next month to see John Williams again.
Oh, nice.
Every year I go to
so
see John
great.
Williams. Yeah, it's a great place.
And we also have the director of the upcoming film, The Death of Superman Lives. What happened, Mr. John Schnepp?
Yeah, I went and saw Stevie Wonder there last year at the Bowl.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, it was good. I don't have any Turtles puns.
Well, don't worry, because I have turtle news. You could say it was a half-shell kind of weekend at the box office, as the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles opened in AMC theaters this weekend and took in over $65 million at the box office, coming in at #1. In second place was Guardians of the Galaxy with just over $41 million, bringing its worldwide total to $313 million in just 10 days. At #3 was Into the Storm, making $18 million, and #4 is the new Helen Mirren film, The 100-Foot Journey, which made $11 million, and at #5 is the Scarlett Johansson action film, Lucy. John, any surprises with this week's box office?
The only thing that's a little bit surprised, I think most people anticipated that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would come in at #1. I mean, it's got a big appeal, so we knew it was going to be #1. But I don't even think the studio thought it was going to make 60 plus. I think in their most optimistic estimates, they were saying maybe 55. So this is a really big accomplishment for them. Especially when you consider over the past 2 years how much grumbling and moaning and complaining people like all of us have done about it. The movie's getting horrible reviews. So I mean, if it had been reviewed well, it might have even hit 70 million. I went to finally go see it last night. I gotta tell you, I don't know what all the bitching's about. Honestly, look, I've liked the trailers. I thought the trailers were okay, but I was still expecting a Transformers 4 level degree of crap. And maybe it's because my expectations were so low.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I walked in that theater, I sat down, Ann went with me, and we sat down and we were laughing. And it's like, this is a very faithful incarnation of the animated, they took some liberties with the story and everything, to the screen. And I thought, if you're a fan of the cartoon of this, you're gonna love this movie. Now, did I love the movie? No. Will I even say it's a good movie? Maybe not. But I walked out having gone, that had some upside. It color me completely shocked. It's got like a 19% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and I can see why some people wouldn't like it. But I thought it was kind of fun. It had some really good one-liners. I thought the visual effects were terrific. I thought the turtles looked great.
The turtles did.
And I gotta tell you, I did not hate the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Color me, I don't know, I'm shocked. Anyway, Dennis, what do you think?
Well, in terms of the box office battle, yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise because we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy versus Turtles. Like, who's going to win? Is Guardians going to come back with a higher retention rating? But it didn't. But 65, or was it 60-something?
60 plus,
yeah,
yeah.
that was a surprise to me. I thought maybe 50-something beating out Guardians. But I'm like you. I saw Turtles, and maybe my expectations were so low that I could say it wasn't that bad. I actually enjoyed some of it. I came out of it not hating it, unlike Transformers 4, you know?
Yes.
And it might have been the expectations. I don't know what it was, but I watched it and I was like, oh, okay, some of this is actually entertaining. So I don't know. I guess I was surprised at how low the critic ratings were for it, though.
Yeah, Shep?
You guys sound shocked that you liked it.
I'm completely shocked that I didn't even hate it.
I'm going to keep my expectations really low and see it, because that sounds like the way to do it.
It's the key, man.
Yeah.
It's the key.
Yeah. So.
Mary, any surprises for you?
Yeah, I think it is surprising it did so well, but then you have to remember that it's sort of the last hurrah before kids go back to school, and there aren't
That's
really
true
a lot
too,
of family-friendly films out, especially this whole summer. I feel like last year there were a lot more, so I think a lot of families went out. I know in the exit scores that they do, the exit surveys, they found a lot of people over the age of 25 came to see this movie, so I think you're right. Fans of the cartoon definitely came out to see this movie. They brought their kids. I also didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Maybe it's the trick is going in with low expectations. I do agree with you that the turtles were really, really well realized. I like how they did pay service to the cartoon. I think fans of the comic book were probably a little bit heartbroken because, again, it's not like the comic book. But again, this is a franchise that's lived for like 30 years. You can't expect every entry into the franchise to be just like the original. It wouldn't be a franchise then.
And I actually thought Splinter looked awesome.
Yeah, he was scary.
I thought Splinter was really, really good. Like, not Shredder, not the villain, but like the rat.
Oh, Splinter, yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised by how cool he came off.
I was happy with what happened with Shredder. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but it wasn't what we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, everybody was afraid it was going to be William Fichtner.
Yeah.
And I'm okay spoiling that, but Shredder's, they reveal that very early in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, William Fichtner is not Shredder, so don't worry about it.
They kept not telling us, alluding to that fact, and I kept harping on it, and that didn't turn out to be true, which I'm glad.
Chrisley, did you see Turtles?
I did.
What did you think of it?
I sat with Miri, and I felt bad because I was afraid I was going to punch her the entire movie because I kept going, yes! I loved the cartoons, and so for me, I thought it paid great attention to the fans that love the cartoons while telling the story in a fun way that we weren't bored, and it's going to be really exciting for kids. While little kids, I think it might be a little too violent for. Like, this is a movie that I could take my little cousins to have a ton of fun for me, and they're going to get introduced to characters in a really fun way. I thought it was awesome.
I will say this, though. In as much as this movie is not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, Megan Fox is every ounce as bad as I thought she was going to be. Look, I don't like to come out here, and I will never come on here and just trash act. I got to say, this girl has no place in the film industry. She has no talent at all. I will put Gal Gadot in a movie at this point, before I will put in Megan Fox. Every moment, but to the film's credit, like, unlike some people who have certain criticisms of Transformers, was like, oh, it's too much humans and not a Transformer. This focuses on the turtles, which is great. So Megan Fox isn't on screen as much as you might fear she is, but every second that she's on is a little bit of my soul dies.
Wait, you didn't like This Is 40?
Oh, no.
She was great in that.
Oh,
I did like her. I thought her comic
I didn't mind her in the movie, to be honest. I didn't mind her in the movie,
surprising.
and it didn't really focus much on her. And the movie wasn't too long.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Short and
2 hours and 40 minutes
it's an hour
long.
and 41 minutes long.
So I was like,
perfect,
okay.
yeah. All right, what's next?
Speaking of turtles, Paramount Pictures was quick to capitalize on the success of the Ninjas by announcing a sequel to the film, which will open in AMC theaters on June 3rd, 2016. This would have Ninja Turtles 2 opening just 1 week after X-Men Apocalypse and Alice in Wonderland 2. Dennis, is it a good idea to already announce Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2?
Yes, it is, and it's the perfect time. All the attention spotlight is on this movie because it's #1 now, and letting all the fans who liked it know that there's going to be one coming pretty soon in 2 years is a good thing. And I think Paramount, is it Paramount? Yeah, Paramount is really happy about this.
Yeah, and it's a good marketing move for this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because in the first weekend you're saying, hey, everybody's responding so well, we're already doing a sequel. I think that brings more attention to the original. At first I thought, wait a minute, opening 1 week after X-Men Apocalypse, but they just opened 1 week after Guardians of the Galaxy, and they did just fine. So I buy it. This is a pretty good move, Mary.
The only difference is that no one expected Guardians to be as successful as it was, whereas X-Men is a really well-established franchise. So that's the only thing that I'm like, ooh, that might hurt it. But I agree. I think it's overall a very good move to announce it so soon after the success of the first weekend.
Yeah, I think it also shows that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is counter-programming. It's not doesn't fall into the superhero genre.
Right.
Like, obviously, it was like,
a
whole bunch of people who, I already saw Guardians. Now I'm going to see this other film that's not a superhero movie. So I think it'll do the same kind of box office versus X-Men. Dependingly, I don't know if it'd be #1 again because X-Men's it's coming off an amazing reboot. Days of Future Past. So brand new fans, millions of people will see it the first opening weekend. It might not get first place the second time around, but it'll probably do 65, 70.
Yeah, and more to your point, one of the interesting things is about going to an 8:30 show last night, which I did. I didn't expect to see a lot of kids because the movie's not going to be after trailers and everything, movie's not going to get out till 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Right.
The theater was half little kids.
Wow.
So it is drawing a little bit from that comic book audience, but it's also drawing from the Toy Story audience.
Yeah.
And so it's really captured this really unique demographic, if you will, of the movie audience, and it's drawing from several different wells, and it's going to make some money.
I saw it Saturday morning at the AMC Prime, which I love that theater, but it was all kids, and it was so cute just seeing the little kids with their little bandanas around their eyes,
that's awesome.
running around and stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to do well despite coming after X-Men.
All right. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that I'm excited to see a whole new generation of kids say like, which turtle are you? Because that's what we used to do. Like, well, which turtle are you? I'm Michelangelo. I'm Leonardo. I'm Raphael. So it's gonna be fun to see that happen.
I will say this too. One of the good things that this movie did really well was that they, all four of the turtles had very distinct, unique personalities. And I thought coming into this live action thing, they might blur those lines a bit. But they're all very likable and very distinct and very individual.
Even visually, they looked very different.
They didn't all have the same body types.
Just looking at them right there, you could see the difference in all of them.
Yeah, they all had very different body types, and their faces were different, and it was really well done. All right, it's time of the show for Buy or Sell. Here's how this works. In front of her, Chrisley's got a few other items in the world of movie news. She's going to run them down, and then all of us here at the table are simply going to say whether we buy it or sell it. So, Chrisley, what do we got?
As you all know by now, Batman vs. Superman has moved to March of 2016, ending the high-stakes game of chicken between it and Captain America 3, which were scheduled to open on the same day in May 2016. When asked about how this situation even began, WB President Dan Feldman said the following: "In terms of going back and reviewing the situation, it looked to us and maybe our oh my God, I'm sorry. Reconnaissance wasn't great that they were not going to have a movie ready on that date. Just that they held on to it and they might not be able to deliver. But they took another position. Schnepp, buy or sell Feldman's reasons for originally planning to open on the same day as Captain America 3.
I'll buy it. I mean, he's basically kind of in a certain way admitting, saying, hey, look, we were going to go head-to-head with them, and then we just figured let's make more money by opening earlier. I mean, why hurt both of the films by taking away from each other when you know they're both going to be giant hits? So, you know, instead of slugging it out, they're like, hey, you can keep your date. We'll open 2 months earlier and get all that extra money. So I think it's a smart way of saying, you know, hey, look, instead of playing chicken, we're going to bow back 2 months and get all that extra flavor. The reconnaissance thing is a nice cover, but, you know, it makes sense. We all knew that somebody was going to move, and, you know, that's how chicken works, you know.
Mary?
I'm going to sell this. I think I agree with what you're saying. I just think to openly admit that you thought Disney or Marvel was somehow not going to make their date when they've done everything so on point and so buttoned up to now is insane to me. Like, how can you be like, well, we just didn't think Disney was going to have their stuff together to get this out on time when they've never not. So if he's going by any track record, his reconnaissance is not only bad, I mean, it's terrible. So I'm gonna sell this. I don't think that they thought that. I think they maybe made a mistake and then they kind of had to figure out a way to cover it up.
Oh yeah, I'm completely selling this because here's our options here. Either A, the president over at Warner Brothers is lying, or B, he's an idiot. And I choose to believe he's not an idiot. But at what point would make anybody think, yeah, Marvel doesn't have a very good track record of having their act together. They're kind of a mess over there.
They never make their dates.
They never make their dates. Now, some people might say, hey, you know, Thor 2 changed release dates and stuff like that. Sure they did, but they were on schedule and they just chose to change release dates. To say that, oh, we just didn't think they were going to make their date. No, you knew they were going to make their date. And you decided you wanted to up the ante. And who knows? Look, at the end of this day, this whole game of chicken they had might have played right into both of their hands. Because how many times on this show alone have we talked about this game of chicken?
At least
thus
10.
Talking once again about Batman vs. Superman and talking about Captain America 3. So it kind of worked out for both of them, but I don't buy this whole thing of, oh, we just didn't think they'd make the date. I don't buy it. Anyway, Dennis?
I'm going to sell it because he used the word reconnaissance. What is it? Is this Splinter Cell? Like I picture like this shadowed-covered guy like sneaking into the Marvel Disney Studios, like hanging from the ceiling, getting the information. Well, he's got bad reconnaissance. And you know what would be the ultimate insult now? If Marvel moves Captain America 3 to March, right on the day. That'd be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
Well, you know, I mean, I'm buying it because I think his excuse is awesome. That's why I like using his reconnaissance is an awesome. Because we all know why they moved it, but he has to cover it.
Yeah.
So the guy who was embedded, something happened to him.
But you're right. It was the smart move for them to do, and they're going to reap benefits from
they're going to
moving
make an extra 200 million. So
I agree.
They're not the losers in this one.
All right, what's next?
Despite recent rumors that Michael Fassbender was leaving Assassin's Creed, the actor recently spoke with IGN about his continued involvement in the project as a producer and an actor and responded to questions about how close the movie will be to the game. Fassbender said the following: "You know, we absolutely want to respect the game. There's so much cool stuff in the game that we're actually spoiled for choice in terms of what we can use and what we can't. But we also want to bring new elements to it and perhaps our own version of things that already exist in the game. But we're definitely making a feature film, and we're approaching it as a feature film as opposed to approaching it as a video game." Miri, buy or sell Fassbender's statement?
I'm absolutely going to buy this, mainly because I'll buy anything Fassbender says at this point. I mean, he could, you know, read some dry manual on how to put together a refrigerator, and I would buy it. But I buy it for a number of reasons. I buy it because I think any adaptation of source material, we've talked about this all the time, you have to adapt it. You're going from an immersive, interactive, multi-hour experience to a 2-hour movie. You have to make changes, and I think he's right. There's great source material to work with. It's a great game. There's a great series of games, but he has to ultimately make a film that makes sense. The other thing I'm going to buy is the fact that he makes great choices as an actor. He's made very good choices. Even Prometheus, which broke my heart for a lot of reasons, I thought he was one of the shining lights of that movie.
He was a great character.
He was a great character. He did a great job playing the character, and I think he has good choices. I think he makes good choices. I think he has a good taste. So I have good feelings about this so far. We'll see, because we know about video game adaptations. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I buy his statement, and I think that there's going to be a lot of video game purists who hate what he's saying. But the reality is once again, look, the goal is not, when you're making whether a comic book movie or based on a novel or based on a game, the goal is not to make it as faithful to the source material as possible. The goal is to make the best movie possible. I think that's what he's saying, and I back him up 100%, so I buy it, Dennis.
I buy it as well. It's mainly not because the statements are actually interesting, because you could apply this to anything. Take out video game, put in comic book, put in novel, whatever. Anything like that's being adapted can fit what he's saying. What basically he's saying is, we're going to do some things the same, and we're going to do some things different. You're going to have to deal with it.
Yeah. Shep.
I sell this because, just kidding. No, of course I buy it. Yeah, it's like Michael Fassbender can do no wrong. I can't wait to see that movie Frank, where he's just wearing that giant head and singing. I saw him do a song on, I think it was one of the talk shows. Really, really entertaining. And I'm glad he's not leaving this property. I think he's going to add so much to it, not only as an actor, but what he's saying as a producer makes a lot of sense. That's how you make a good movie, not a video game adaptation. So
Agreed. All right, what's next?
Speaking of video game movies, another highly anticipated one is The Last of Us. It was recently confirmed that Game of Thrones star Mace Williams had been approached to take on the role of Ellie in the games. Though no casting has been confirmed at this point, now Neil Druckmann, who wrote the original game and is now writing the screenplay for the movie, is saying the following: "It's been really difficult to cut certain things out, but what I'm starting to get this is really focused narrative that's about these two characters. Some parts will be similar to the game and some parts will be quite different." We heard that before today. John, buy or sell Druckmann's comments?
I giant buy this, and here's what's really interesting to me. You know, I hear a lot, when I have these debates with friends of mine who think, no, if you're making the reason all video game movies suck is that they haven't stuck closely enough to the game and stuff like this. And a lot of them would often say, if they just got the game studio to make the movie, then it would be done right. Well, guess what? Now you got the guy who wrote the game saying, you can't just take it and put it on screen. You have to adapt it. So here you go. The guy who wrote the game is writing the screenplay, and he's saying, we got to take some stuff from the game, but we got to create some stuff that's new, put it together, make the best movie possible. So yeah, I love the fact that, not just what he said, I love the fact that this is the guy saying, so I think that's really cool. Shep.
Everyone's told me to play this game, and I have not played it. Dennis, did you ever
It's
play
awesome.
it? Last of Us?
Yeah, I'll get
a little
to
bit.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you were talking about, like, I was like, I got to get that game. Everyone told me how great it is. I'm still going to play it before I see the movie, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm really glad they actually got the guy who made the game. Yeah. Sometimes that is actually an important part where it's like, especially if it's something this well written, that everyone told me the game is incredible, the story is incredible. So they got the guy who actually wrote that to write the screenplay. It makes a lot of sense. So,
Dennis?
Oh yeah, I buy them for the same reasons you guys said, but I have to say this. So I bought the PS3 with Last of Us last year on Black Friday. I got a good deal on it. I was so excited to play it because everyone's telling me how good it is. And I played it. It was good. I only played 3 hours of it. You know why? Because I had a major bug, and it wouldn't manually save anymore. So I
remember you telling me
I
about
would
that.
play it, and I'd get past this really hard part, and then I'd die, and it'd start me all the way back over in the like 45 minutes earlier. I'm like, no. So I stopped playing it. I'll get back to it someday. That has nothing to do with his statements. I just wanted to vent.
What if the movie goes like an hour and then all of a sudden it goes back 30 minutes? You're like, it's happening again with the movie. You can't throw your controller at the
You're in your
screen.
safe place here. It's okay. You can talk about it. I absolutely buy this for all the reasons that have been said. Also, this is a Screen Gems production, and they did the Resident Evil franchise. And like them or hate them, they did a really, really good job adapting those games into movies. Even if you hate the movies, I know I'm going to hear about it on YouTube. I'm just saying, I think in terms of creating longevity in a franchise, they do a good job, especially compared to some of the other video game movies. And yeah, I think it's a great game. I think it's great source material. So. Have at her.
I love Resident Evil, all of the movies.
There you go.
Guilty
See?
pleasure.
There you go.
All right, folks, so we've reached that part of the show for Mailbag. Listen, if you've got a question or a comment you'd like us to address on the show, you can email us anytime at amcmovietalk@gmail.com. Maybe your question will get on here. Maybe your question will get on AMC Mailbag during the week. We'll find out. But listen, I'm going to let you know, too, at the end of this show, we're going to save a couple of minutes and take some of your live questions. So if you're watching us live right now, and we do this show live every day, Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, you can tweet to us at AMC Movie News. So send in your tweets. Chris Lee is our gatekeeper. She will pick out a couple questions. But for now, let's get to the mailbag. So Chris Lee, what do we got?
John Michael Eaton writes, recently I rewatched The Empire Strikes Back for the 1,000th time.
Good choice.
And I realized that ever since I was 5, there has always been this scene that I simply don't get. It's the scene where Luke is on Dagobah, goes deep into the jungle, and cuts a Vader robot's head off. I think this serves as a warning to Luke not to venture too close to the dark side, but I feel as if maybe I'm not getting the full significance of it. Thanks.
It's one of the great scenes in Empire Strikes Back, and one of the reasons it's one of the great scenes is because they do not explain it.
Yeah.
Luke doesn't come out of the cave and then Yoda sits down. Now, Luke, this is what you saw, and this is what it means. They kind of leave a bit of it open to interpretation. I always saw it, and it wasn't a robot per se. It was probably just, it was all in Luke's head, I think. But I've always seen it one of two ways. Number one, it alludes to the fact that Vader and him are actually related. But I more agree with what you're saying in your email. Mostly, I've always thought that it was an allegory, if you will, of, look, this monster that you are most afraid of, that can be you if you make the wrong choices. But maybe it's something else entirely, and that is one of the brilliant things about this movie. Anyway, Schnepp, you saw this movie as many times as I did. How did you interpret it?
Pretty much the same way as you. I interpreted it just very much like it's in his imagination. He goes inside the dark side tree that exists on Dagobah. Yeah. And, you know, Yoda's like, you got to go in there alone. And it's basically showing him, it's his blood. You know, it's his dad. He's part of this. He could go to the dark side just as easily. Yeah, it's a premonition.
Yeah, so, that's a good word for it. Dennis?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. It's like the Joseph Campbell enter the cave moment, and he's foreshadowing that Vader is his father, and he could become like him. So, yeah, I'm with you guys.
Mirror the Jedi?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of you. I think it's interesting. He asked such a good question because he mentions that he saw it when he was 5. And I think we all saw these movies when we were so young, and it enters your subconscious. And for me, I remember being little and watching this and understanding inherently, even as a child, that there is light and there's dark, and that light and dark have a relationship, and that they're intertwined, and that even if we want to break away from the dark, it's a part of us, and in order to overcome it, you have to become one with it in a way and understand it. It's like really deep philosophical stuff, but I think as little children...
You're way deeper than us. That sounded way cooler.
I think as children, though, we all understood that. You understand these things inherently when you're little, and I think what's so beautiful about Star Wars, and I can't call myself a fan, especially not next to people like you, I love these movies, but I'm certainly not like this person that knows all the details of Dagobah and all the different incantations, and Yoda lived there once. I don't know all that stuff, but I can say that it's beautiful because it at once kind of offers something on the surface for people to enjoy, but then you can go really deep and have these really deep philosophical conversations. So, great question.
All right, what's next?
Fabione writes, hello AMC crew, greetings from Venezuela. I would like to know which is your favorite foreign film. Mine is the Korean film from 2003, Old Boy. Thanks and keep up the awesome work.
Old Boy's real good. You've heard me mention these two before. Number one is Life is Beautiful by Roberto Benigni. It actually won a couple of Oscars, and the other one is Infernal Affairs, which is what The Departed was a remake of. It's still, Infernal Affairs, my all-time favorite cop movie in general. So those are my two. Janice, what about you?
Yeah, I really like Infernal Affairs, but mine has to be City of God. It's
yeah,
actually
yeah.
not just my top foreign film, it's actually in my top 5 films of all time. It's like a Brazilian Goodfellas. It's about the gang turf war in the slums of Rio de Janeiro. I think directed by, I forget the name, Fernando Meirelles and Katia Lund. It's beautifully shot by Cesar Charlon, I think his name. So I can watch that movie over and over again.
Schnepp, what about you?
I got to hang with Little Z when I was
really?
awesome.
Rio. Yeah, it was crazy.
Man.
I was like, "You're Little Z," and knowing he still lives in the favelas.
Yeah.
So mine is a Rare Exports, the most recent one. It's about the Krampus and this little kid trying to fight him. This giant evil Santa Claus buried inside of a mountain. I think it's still on Netflix. Also, Let the Right One In. So those are my two
that was
kind
a
of
great one.
favorite foreign films right now. But I was going to list off a couple people: Kurosawa, Jacques Tati, and Tarkovsky.
Great.
Check out Solaris. Check out Playtime. Look those guys up. They all have amazing films, and they have a great run of them as well. Also, Werner Herzog. So.
I love. You know, it's funny you mentioned Kurosawa because I noticed it was about last week. I had another conversation with somebody. He said, "Blah blah." Well, you've seen Seven Samurai? Nope. And I realized probably in the last 3 or 4 years, that has come up about 8 times where I've said to people, "Oh, so you've seen Seven Samurai?" Nope. I'm shocked how many people have not seen Seven
like
Samurai.
a classic.
I know, it's crazy.
You
Anyway,
gotta
what
see
about
it.
you? Your
Oh,
films?
there's so many. Of more recent films, I have to say Amélie is, I think, beautiful.
So good.
And wonderful. I could watch that over and over again, so that's one of my favorites. But I like the classics. I love Au bout du souffle, which is Breathless, which is, you know, Gene Seberg and Jean-Paul, I can't never say his name, Belmondo. And it's beautiful, and I love French films. I love Dolce Vita. There's so many classic, wonderful foreign films that influenced Spielberg and Lucas and all the big, wonderful, great filmmakers of today were influenced by a lot of wonderful, you know, Rashomon, all those, you know, Kurosawa films. So I could go on for hours.
And when you say Amélie, I say Delicatessen. So
yeah.
once you see one person's film, you'll see their entire filmmaking discography, so to speak.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a lot of hits. So.
All right, folks, well, we said we'd leave a couple of minutes at the end for your live Twitter questions, and we're going to do just that. You might even have time to sneak one in. Tweet to us at AMC Movie News. Chrisley, what have you in your divine, sovereign judgment decided to pick out?
I am a very judgy person. Sahil wants to know if you guys think there will ever be a reboot of The Professional.
Yes. I'm actually shocked there hasn't been one already. It's a timeless one. It's like you could take that story and have made it in 1960, you can make it in 2015. I'm shocked it hasn't been remade already, so I think they will. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the only reason they haven't is because Natalie Portman and Gary Oldman are such a force, maybe that's the only reason why they haven't, but they should.
I think most people don't even realize Natalie Portman was in it.
Really?
I think most of the general movie-going public don't realize that was her
She was
in it.
awesome in it. So good.
I think they're going to remake it. Maybe Luc Besson will remake his own
Himself.
movie.
That's becoming a little bit of a trend, actually. All right, what's next?
Denarian Saul wants to know which Star Wars spin-off you're most excited for.
His name sounds like one of the Nova characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. Denarian Day. Okay. Well, since technically speaking, we don't even factually know what the spin-offs are going to be, I can't answer that. I mean, is it going to be a Boba Fett one? Maybe. Is it going to be a Han Solo one? Maybe. Is it going to be a Little Yoda one? Maybe. Until I know, I can't say which one I'm most excited about because as of right now, we don't know what they're going to be. But what about you guys? In theory, which one, like Schnepp, in theory, which would be your favorite one that you're most looking forward to?
Well, the Boba Fett one, since I know that's the one they're making, is the one I'm looking forward to the most. And then the Han Solo one. I keep thinking that Yoda one is just going to be a Lego Yoda. That's
that
what I
would
think.
kind of be awesome.
I think they're going to rock it Yoda style that way. But yeah, the Boba Fett one, in theory. So
Dennis?
In theory, Han Solo, but it's also the one I'm most scared about because they could really royally mess it up.
Yeah. And it's like casting. Who do you get to be a young Han Solo?
Yeah,
I mean, it's so weird.
I don't know. I feel the same way as you. It's like, how can I make a call on something I don't know. I don't know what the end results are yet. I don't know who's going to be what. I don't know what spin-offs they're making. Princess Leia, maybe? I always related to her as a kid with her giant hair buns. I don't know.
All right, what's next?
Shigeru News wants to know if Big Hero 6 is a huge box office hit, do you see Disney making more Marvel animated films?
It's certainly possible. I mean, it will open the doors. But really, Big Hero 6, despite the association with its name, this isn't really a big Marvel adaptation. This is something kind of different and unique that they're doing. But, you know, if the only two choices are it increases the chances for Marvel animated movies or decreases the chances, I'll say increase, but in general, I don't think Marvel's really interested in making animated feature films based on the Marvel properties right now. Schnepp, what do you think?
I would say 2 words, Power Pack. That is an old series with the little kids who all have their powers. That is a perfect follow-up to Big Hero 6.
Yeah, that's a really great one. Dennis?
I hope you're wrong about Marvel. I hope they are interested in making an animated version and just keep it separate. Like, who wouldn't want to see a Pixar-like animated version of Avengers? But just say, look, this has nothing to do with our live-action cinematic stuff. This is purely just for the kids. I'd love to see that.
That'd be interesting.
I think they could. I just think it's a matter of whether or not they can execute well because they're so good at execution.
Yeah.
So that it would be down to that.
Bring John Lasseter on board and kind of oversee it. That would be
Sure.
interesting. Okay, we have time for one more.
Tyre Francis says, in honor of the new Giver movie, is there a book adaptation you're waiting to be made into a film? Mine is Anthem.
Mine has, for now, and has always been Shogun, James Clavell's Shogun. They made a wicked miniseries out of it in the 80s. Obviously, you'd have to cram that down, but I have wanted a Shogun. I think it would just be incredible. I think people would eat it up, too. I think it would be marketable. I think it has high quality, great characters. So, yeah, I want Shogun. What about you guys?
That makes me my dad. My dad introduced me to Shogun.
Oh, really?
He was obsessed with it.
My
yeah.
mom introduced me to it, too.
That's cool. For classic books, I can't really think of anything. I know that The Interestings is becoming a movie now, and it's a great read. I just read it. And The Goldfinch, also amazing book that they're turning into a movie. And I'm really excited for Gone Girl because the book was so outrageous. Like, you can't even believe what you're reading because it's so out there. So I'm really curious to see how Fincher is going to make that one happen.
Do you guys have a book that you really think is just dying to be made?
I don't know if it's dying to be made, but it'd be interesting seeing Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle get
Ooh.
turned into a
You've
movie.
mentioned that before, actually, yeah.
But I don't know if it's adaptable because it's so out there and weird.
Well, they said that about Watchmen.
Yeah.
What about you, Schnepp?
I was going to say Burning Chrome. Like, one of the cyberpunk books would be really fun to see. I mean, especially now that we're all living in a cyberpunk world. You know, before those things become like part of our reality, I'd like to see it adapted. You know
what the funny thing is? Whenever I hear somebody say cyberpunk, I take a second because I have to adjust my head because I always initially think they're talking about that book series that William Shatner wrote. What was that, like the Tech Wars or something?
Yeah.
So whenever somebody says cyberpunk, I think the William Shatner thing?
Shatner as the weird cop from the future? Yeah.
What about you, Chris Lee? I know you like to read a lot of novels. Is there any one that you really hope they turn into a movie eventually?
I do. I actually just got really excited because one of the new John Green books, Paper Towns and Looking for Alaska, one got greenlit and one has a director. And I just started reading The Discovery of Witches, which if you love witches, vampires, and demons, but not in the really cheesy way that Twilight was, it's a great series that I think would make an amazing movie.
All right, folks, well, that will do it for us today, wrapping up my first episode back in like 3 weeks. Thanks so much for putting up with my cough and everything. Don't forget, lots of great films playing in AMC theaters right now. Head on over to www.amctheaters.com for your theater, showtime, and of course your movie ticket information. If you want an audio-only version of this episode, look in the description of this video, and you'll see links to our audio-only podcast feed, so you can listen to us on the way to work or at the gym or whatever. I want to thank everybody sitting at the table with me. First of all, sitting to my left, Miss Miri Jedikin. Miri, where can people find you online?
You can find me at Miri the Jedi, Twitter, Instagram, and everywhere else that you can find people.
And of course, our production manager here at AMC Movie News, Mr. Dennis Zen. Dennis, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero and on Instagram, dennis.tzeng.
The one and the only, the director of the upcoming The Death of Superman Lives What Happened, Mr. John Schnepp. Schnepp, where can people find you online?
Well, you can find me supportsupermanlives.com and at Twitter and Instagram, John Schnepp. And I went and saw Boyhood at AMC. Go check that out.
Good,
I saw it
isn't
last
it?
night. It's incredible. It'll blow you away. It's a landmark in filmmaking. I've never seen a film like it. So.
And of course, our gatekeeper today, Miss Chrisley Kennedy. Chrisley, where can people find you?
You guys can find me everywhere at Chrisley.
And you can find me on the various social media networks just at John Campia. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. My name's John Campia for AMC Movie News, and until tomorrow, bye-bye.
Hey everyone, if you liked this video, click that thumbs up button and make sure to subscribe to our AMC Movie News YouTube channel. It's free and helps you stay up to date with all the latest movie news, as well as our daily AMC Movie Talk show. Also, make sure that you follow us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with all of our special promotions, contests, and prize giveaways.